The astrology for the week ahead, July the 7th to the 13th, experiences a moon for us, an important moon on the 10th. This is a Capricorn full moon that's going to wake up collectively humanity, I think, to its origins, to where we really came from, how long we've been on this planet. But it also has a volcanic quality to it for explosive energies, including real volcanoes. Unfortunately, whether they're under the sea or above the top side or underside, we do have some stories around volcanic eruptions. I don't think it's just a metaphor. So we have a volcanic energy coming off this moon, but we also have this mysterious stuff about Atlantis and the Sphinx that puts me in a state of wonder and awe. What is this moon really about? This moon is going to be on Thursday, July the 10th in my time zone. You can feel the full rolling out of the lunation over the course of 2 to 3 weeks after. But every single moon, new and full, has a 6-month period of meaning or time to which it applies. So if I talk about the Sphinx, and I'm going to talk about volcano and volcanus, and I'm going to talk about Atlantis, I don't mean that on the moon Atlantis is found. I mean, in the months that follow, watch for that story. But we will have evidence for it, clues and cues in the 2 to 3 weeks after this moon. For every single full moon, by the way, there's a Capricorn full moon at 18 degrees of Capricorn is seeded from the 9-degree Capricorn moon, in this case, 9 degrees, that happened on December the 30th, 2024. Whoa, I'll be showing you the sky. We'll be talking about your sun, moon, and rising. We'll be doing a very light touch on the world events. But one thing I will say about this moon is that it's going to be a game changer. And I dreamt last night about aliens and politics and political awareness of the non-human intervention in human society by aliens who are hopefully trying to help. And I'll be talking about that a little bit as well, because I dreamed prophetically. And I knew I would be doing this video today before I even studied some of the asteroids here, and I can see how now it all makes sense. All right, new here, welcome. I'm so excited about this moon. I want to talk about it. I really do. My name is Lori Lothian. I'm using Western tropical astrology. Whole sign houses. Fixed stars and minor asteroids are a part of my wheelhouse. We'll be bringing a lot of great minor asteroids into our story. We've got a Hera who likes to agree to things and make them stick, and Juno, both the same goddess, the wife of Zeus. We can look for a lot of ceasefire treaties and agreements being forged in ironclad ways, as this moon will try to forge peace in the world, particularly in relationship to the Middle East, and I'll show you why. We can also see that we have asteroids for abundance sitting with Chiron right on top of it. Orcus, the punisher of broken oaths, and Tisiphone are here. This is where we're going to find places where there has been great injustice, then justice will be meted out. So there's going to be a kind of punisher of the broken oaths. Justice must be served, energy coming off of this moon. So there's that too. We also have the raging centaur Bienor in this story, and where somebody who's rampaging must be stopped. And you won't believe where that's happening in our world. When you see where the rampage is, you might get a sense of what I feel about that situation as well. So we got a lot of interesting things for the world in your own life, because it matters. You're going to find this is going to bring you some wisdom, some intuitive insight, some introspective knowing. And I get that mostly because of other factors that are less political. But the full moon light is also connected to the number 18. This moon is happening at 18 degrees, and that's the hermit in the tarot. It's the moon and it becomes the hermit. And it's funny because I decided this morning before we began our recording to use this device to spin my tarot wheel on my Tarot Vision pendant by Coppertus Wu. And I love his art and I share it with everybody. No, I don't get an affiliate financing off of this, but you get a code for Lori 25% off, Lori 25, if you want to get this for 25% off in his website. And in my description box are the link. Anyway, I'll show you what it looks like quickly. Oh, do I have time? Yeah, I guess I can whip it up. There's a key, I like a key, meaning a way to interpret the symbols on the spinning divination pendant. And energetically, I don't think I'm sharing it. I thought I was. I don't know what happened to the share. I'll try it again. If it doesn't work, I'll just talk about it. But I think I closed it out. Yeah, I closed out the website. So anyway, there's a key for you to go find out more about how to actually read it. And you can use that key. And this pennant is beautiful. But anyway, I spun the wheel this morning and I said, what does the individual person need to know? And it was the Hermit card, which is ironic because the 18 degree becomes a 9, and 9 is the Hermit in the tarot. So it's your own wisdom, truth, and inner knowing. With Abundantia on Chiron, we're going to talk about how you need to know where true abundance lies and how to acquire it. Capricorn is always about resources, always about having the basic needs met. And we're going to angle that into your reading today. Now, for the world, unfortunately, this tarot pendant spun and stopped on the Tower. The tower is exactly what it sounds like. Some big disruption, a lightning bolt hits a tower, people fall from the tower. It can be very literal, like 9/11 was a tower event. Metaphorically and realistically, there were 2 towers. And so there can be a massive shock or disruption, or just a shock. It doesn't have to be bad. If we all discovered we're actually from alien civilizations, or we find a spaceship underneath a Sphinx, or we find Atlantis at last, and we see that it had amazing technology. I mean, we'll know that we're older, our humanity goes far back. The younger Dryas period around 12,000 years ago kind of might have set humanity back. We had a huge strike by a meteor, and it literally reglaciated the earth. So there's a lot going on in this moon where we're going to see evidence for humanity's true origins. That's what I'm going to go with. And maybe some clear intervention by non-human, maybe non-terrestrial intelligence in the 6 months that follows this moon. It's a big call, isn't it? Is it like I'm really calling it? But if we don't see anything like that, I'd be shocked. We're in 25 and 26 at a peak sextile between Neptune and Pluto that has historically led to major waves in the UFO storyline in the 50s and in the late 80s, early 90s. When 80s and 90s was the Gulf breeze sightings. That was also Whitley Strieber's communion. That was the beginning of the abductee phenomena, or the reporting of it. And, John Mack in his book Abduction, this Harvard psychiatrist, that happened in the 80s, 90s when we had a peak sextile. And we had a peak sextile in the late 40s, early 50s. And that was Roswell into the UFO Project Blue Book in the 50s. So what you're going to see is that now in 2025, 26, and 27, we're in another peak sextile energy between these planets. Neptune, that which is foggy, confusing, illusory, and then Pluto under the surface, hidden from view, unknown. And I'm pretty well sure we're going to find more information coming to clear the confusion, and we're going to see another escalation. And I want to go back and say one more thing, because this is coming off an 1800s conjunction. And there were the airships in the late 1800s being seen by everybody. They called them airships. So we had the late 1800s airship sightings, and then we have each thing gets more intense. The Roswell, the Downcraft, Project Blue Book, and then the next cycle, communion, abductions, human beings talking about what the aliens told them. What's this next sextile going to bring us? UFO on the White House lawn? We'll see. All right, so one last thing before I show you the chart, talk very briefly about the world and then you, is the following things. Number one, if you're listening, by the way, if you're listening for your sun, it's career and purpose. Your moon is your home and where you live and your domestic life. So, but then the rising sign is your simulation character avatar. I'm an Aquarius rising. I'm like Spock, I'm all in my airhead here. And you're going to act and be and seem like your identity. Leo rising is beautiful big hair. Look at Vance's beard and look at Trump's hair, And so you kind of look or act in many ways like the ascendant, the rising sign. But you also, that's your circumstantially most acute part of your sky. Acute meaning accurate, precise. You will find often, for listening for your rising sign, that more circumstantial things that a general astrology reading covers can be true for you, which is to remind you, this is general bell curve astrology, not a personal natal chart reading, which is so much more nuanced, layered, and complex. Well, you will get certain things becoming true off of a general all signs reading. Remember, this is not your natal reading. That's why it's not all going to fit. Now, let's talk about what happened on the new moon. When was the new moon? The new moon was on December the 30th, 2024. And in the 2 to 3 weeks after that, a few things happened. And I'm bringing it to our attention because that 9-degree moon in Capricorn then, which was on the asteroid Pholos for domino effects or spinning off, or the dominoes are falling. That moon happened at 9 Capricorn, and the following things happened. A day before Jimmy Carter died, and then on January 9th came his funeral. Well, Jimmy Carter, of course, it was activated by that moon. That moon happened to occur on 9 degrees of Capricorn, perfectly square his sun in Libra, while at the same time a fall eclipse hit his sun for vitality as well. Jimmy Carter is a 26 Libra rising, and I think a 9-degree, 10-degree sun in Libra. So it really activated his departure strategy. But it also means that themes of heads of state and funerals, will come off of this full moon, very likely. And we'll see that to be true, that heads of states and funerals will, like the Jimmy Carter era, will be back again for a round 2. And let's see what happens in the next month after this moon. And then the next thing that happened back then, somebody drove a car into a bunch of people in New Orleans on January the 1st, I think. And that led to, of course, a shock and awe about an act of domestic violent terror. And we could see something similar coming off this as well. Another episode like that, which is all too sadly common. And another thing that could occur is that at the same time, we had volcanoes going off in Iceland and in Ethiopia. Ethiopia eruption January 3rd, Iceland, I think January 13th. Volcanoes were erupting and people were being moved out of the area for safety. And exactly the kind of thing could come back again. A volcano could erupt. Now, because I'd put my video out about the prediction by the manga artists in Japan and what astrology said, would there be an earthquake or a tsunami in the Japanese area, Japan seas off the Philippines and Japan? And I did that video and it came out on July 4th. And my answer is yes, but not on July 5th. I was clear in that video that this applies to almost to about, July the 23rd. Because of North Node and Mars, South Node and Mars coming together, we could see a major land event to do with Earth that's very disturbing and very difficult for the world. And there's a lot of asteroids activated, including Requiem and Grieve. And I put all of that information in the video that came out on July 4th in my new World Astrology playlist. So go watch that. I'm not going to recover that information. But when I see the volcano energy activated here in January's new moon and the asteroid Volcanus activating the sky at the time of this lunation in the sign of Virgo, it makes me feel there will be either above ground or undersea volcanic eruption. Undersea volcanoes produce tsunamis. Okay. Now, in Donald Trump's solar return chart this year on his birthday, his ascendant's at 24 degrees of Virgo. There's a lot of action in the sky on this moon in the sign of Virgo. And it puts Donald Trump in a health challenge over the months that follow this particular time frame. It activates the potential for a health challenge. We've been saying that forever, but his whole age is going to have South Node 2 degrees off a temporary ascendant, which indicates a decline of physical wellness or health for most people. This kind of thing is obviously true for individuals. Why not for Donald Trump? His midheaven's at 23 degrees of Gemini, and it's with his natal sun on the solar return chart. So we can also see some significant stories going on when anything impacts the 23rd degree or so of Gemini. It's interesting because asteroid America, the sun, and his midheaven are all bundled together in Gemini from a Virgo rising chart, though. Remember, not his natal sky chart. And if you know anything about astrology, that would be a very interesting placement for him to be dealing with in a Virgo rising sky, because it will indicate 10th house career difficulties. Now, I'm going to show you the chart. I'm going to touch on the asteroids. You'll see the Sphinx and you'll see Atlantis, and you'll see how powerful the volcanic energy is in the sky, and the asteroids for Orcus, the Punisher, Broken Oaths, and Tisiphone, and all these guys. And then we're going to do your sign. We do your sign. We're talking wisdom, insight, and truth, and supporting you to be abundant and heal a wound in the Aries part of your sky so that you can prosper. So let's get rolling and let's do each of the signs after the overview. And that overview video of the sky is now. And let's get that bit shown for you guys so we can take a look at the sky and talk about those cool asteroids in place. The devil is in the asteroid details. And if you want to know how to find your asteroids in your chart, including the names of family, friends, parents, husbands, spouses, wives, old girlfriends, boyfriends, take my free asteroids course. 10,000 people have downloaded that class. It is free. It's called the Amazing Asteroids class. And it's in my description box under my video, under the more button, ... Go find it. If you're watching the live premiere, please hit the like button. Let me know you love me, subscribe, share with friends and family, comment. All of that helps the algorithm here. So this is the sky, Washington, D.C. at the time of the moon at 18 degrees here, 49 minutes. That's a 22, which is a master number in numerology. It also connects to the Fool and the Tarot. So take it as you will. It might have some meaning for you. And why I'm so excited by the revelation of lost civilizations, because the full moon sheds a full light on something. And right here we have the Sphinx. So with a full moon light and the Sphinx here, that's one of the eternal mysteries of humanity. Who built it? How old is it? Geologists say with water erosion, Robert Schoch, the geologist, wrote a book about 20 years ago, says water erosion. It says it goes back like 12,000 years ago. All the Egyptologists are like, hey guys, it's like, 3,000 years old. And that's such bullshit. On top of which the face of the Sphinx has been altered to a pharaoh look. It was probably a lion. There was a time in history when the lion was rising at a certain time on the horizon line. And, the pyramids themselves on Giza Plateau are in the shape of the Orion's Belt star system. 1, 2, 3, they have been already mapped to the stars of Orion's Belt. So this is an ancient topographical place that has ancient knowledge of astronomy. And the lion, the Leo, was a time in history when because of the wobble of the earth and the precession of the equinoxes, the spring equinox changes. It's no longer at Aries. That was like 2,000 years ago. And for it to have been in Leo, I believe that is like 12,000 years ago, that Leo was the spring equinox, the vernal equinox in the northern hemisphere. And so the Sphinx is a time marker, guys. It's obvious it marks time. So later generations could try to figure out, hey, this is from the era when Leo was rising during the equinox, that kind of thing. Hope I got all that right. That's my memory of the info. Now, look, if the Sphinx is within 3 degrees, and that's a 19-degree, really almost a 19-degree moon, if the Sphinx is that close to it, we're going to have illumination of what? Egypt? Possibly Egypt will be very big. Maybe there'll be a volcanic eruption, a political leadership in Egypt. Maybe Egypt will rise up and suddenly fight against the bad guy in the Middle East. Who knows? But it could be literal. It could be like there's something going to go on with the Sphinx. Now, that doesn't surprise me because you guys know that we've had massive satellite imagery using a certain technology, radar mapping, that now reveal there is underneath this the Khafra pyramid in the plateau. And underneath the Great Pyramid, now there's information coming out as well. There's going to be a big reveal. This Italian technology, which is patented, I believe, by these inventors and these researchers, show there's these massive spiral structures underneath the pyramid. And the energy is like, wow, something we didn't see before. It's too big and too vast to be accidental, apparently. Okay, so what's under there? Well, we're going to find out, aren't we? Because the Sphinx and the idea of the pyramids and the mysteries of the Giza Plateau are in the lunation. What else could I say that could be important? What about this? Atlantis. Look at Atlantis at 24 Libra and look at it squaring here. Now, 23 Libra is the ascendant of Israel, and the Sphinx and the Atlantis is a lost civilization. Because it undid itself, apparently. So there's also that archetype hitting Israel over the next 6 months, kind of pertinent to this full moon. And the full moon with this energy of the Sphinx is also in Israel's 4th house of home and homeland. Well, they are in the cradle of civilization, I guess, the Middle East. But more than that, it can be something to do with Israel having some big stories going on to do with its homeland, greater Israel, etc., and in particular, its leader. Why do I want to talk about the leader? Because the leader or leadership of Israel will be the sign of Cancer, representing the 10th house of that leadership. There's good old America and Jupiter trying to get in the mix. And look at the sun, which is what the moon is reflecting. Full moon light reflecting the solar light. And these are the asteroids I wanted to talk about. Hera, it's like Juno, trying to bring ironclad agreements and commitments. So there can be pressure in the Middle East for the Israel leadership to frigging make a deal and stop rampaging. Why do I say rampaging? Because rampaging is this guy, Bienor, Bienor. He was a centaur rampaging. I'm going to make sure I got the right guy. Is he Bienor? Yeah, he is rampaging at a wedding of the Lapis, and he was finally stopped by another guy, Thesis or something like Thesis, and basically he was stopped in his tracks, but he was unstoppable. He was rampaging and he was unstoppable until he was killed. I'm going to leave that with you. Who in the Middle East is rampaging and has been rampaging and is unstoppable and may need to be dealt with? Maybe. Okay, let's just keep it simple and keep it simple, stupid. Let's just go with simplicity on that one. There are two charts for Iran. There's more than one, but there's three. But one of them is the Aries rising chart. The other is the Leo rising chart. They're both valid. If we use the Aries rising chart for the nation of Iran, the ascendant of Iran is squaring the country, is squaring the story, creating a T-square energy. So putting Iran as the Aries chart in the crosshairs of this storyline, especially regarding stopping a rampaging leader of the nation of Israel in the Middle East. So we'll see. I don't know. I would say there's a very strong possibility that someone will put the leader of Israel in a condition where he can no longer rampage, however that looks. Now, over here, we have a bunch of stuff. Now, this is important because this is where Donald Trump has his ascendant in a solar return at around 23 degrees, 24 degrees of Virgo. So it's going to impact Donald Trump's ascendant, which indicates potential health problems, by the way, for him anyway over the next year. His age is compromised by the South Node on the ascendant of the solar return, and it can be very physically depleting, creating physical challenges. But on top of that, this part of the chart is extremely active for the world. You'll notice there's a rectangle here, which is what I like about this. Mystic rectangles bind the tension of opposites and create lemonade from lemons. And there's a resiliency and a stubbornness to them. It makes tensions flow. And so we might see things like a forging of an impossible peace treaty or something like that, or a dramatic change of circumstance that shocks us all. The Tower. Why? Because this over here on the South Node is important. This is Volcanus. I talked in the beginning about the energy of Volcanus being activated and volcanic energies being present in the sky. It is trine the moon, not square the moon. Okay, but it doesn't mean it's a good thing because Mars is up there in Virgo and Mars doesn't care if it's a trine, a sextile, an opposition. He still brings cutting, ending, and severing energies to the world. Punisher of broken oaths is Orcus, the god, Etruscan god of wealth. He's like Pluto, but he's known for punishing people because they've broken an agreement. They've broken an oath of some sort. So who has broken agreements, maybe treaties, any agreements, and doth they be punished? The nation of Lebanon is the Virgo rising. Lebanon's in the thick of all of this as well over the next 6 months after this moon for some reason. And certainly I wouldn't put it past anything or anyone that they're going to be pretty intense. I think this is Tisiphone. So I don't know how to pronounce it. This is Tisiphone. Anyway, 446. And this is one of the three Greek Furies. And the Furies punish people who committed crimes of murder. So they brought justice and paybacks for crimes against kinship, getting what you deserve, good or bad. So punishing people who have created unalivings of others is what Tisiphone does. And you add Orcus, the punisher of broken oaths. This is the ascendant of Lebanon. We did have a lot of Hezbollah leaders killed. It's possible that Lebanon itself or Hezbollah will take action to punish broken oaths and people who considered have murdered others. There's a difference between war, although very fine these days, and murder, right? So the act of decapitation or unaliving people on purpose, also called assassinating, is literally murder, right? So we're going to talk about maybe a retribution for murder upon somebody who has been complicit in the act of unaliving by intention. Sadly, Donald Trump, and who doesn't apparently naturally incline that way, he has his ascendant in this whole difficult area, but his ascendant can be whether he's being punished for broken oaths or he wants to punish others for broken oaths, I can't say. That's the world astrology. We're going to move ahead and do your sign. I want to remind you that your sun is your career and purpose, and your moon is your home, and your ascendant is every circumstantial thing that could happen to you. Please check out my free how to cast your chart in whole sign houses and how to find your ascendant video in my description box below. So if you do not know your rising sign, you can find your rising sign as long as you know your time of birth. That's quite simple to do. And I'm going to teach you that in my storyline. By the way, the moon is in Capricorn. I had a thought for you guys, but I can't remember what it is. Oh, I know what I was going to say. The punisher of broken oaths, Orcus and Tisiphone, justice for those who have committed crimes of murder, etc. That is in the 12th house of hidden enemies for the nation of Israel. The 12th house. So let me say it this way. In the 12th house of hidden enemies, Israel has the punisher of broken oaths, Orcus, and Tisiphone, the asteroid, for justice meted out by the Greek gods, the Furies, for those who have committed acts of murder. So if coming from the house of hidden enemies for the nation of Israel, it can indicate that Israel be in harm's way. The midheaven of Netanyahu is in the sign of Virgo, where the punishment is being meted out, and that's his high noon and visible presence in the world. I would suggest that Netanyahu is definitely in some significant harm's way, not just in the 2 weeks after this moon of July the 10th, 2025, but in the 6 months after as well. So let's go ahead, shall we, and look at the chart from the perspective of your sign. Am I still recording? Thank gods I am. Sometimes I pause to get up and get some water, and I forget to put it back on, and then I just have to start all over again. And I just did that this morning, just FYI. So if you sound like I'm losing my voice, it's because I had 20 minutes into a video to start it all over again. Here we go. We're not going to start with Scorpio. No. We're not starting with Scorpio at all. We're going to go and start with Aries, sun, moon, and rising. So let's move us into the Aries narrative. The moon is exact around 4:36 p.m. on June 10th in Washington, D.C. Adjust for your time zone. And it will, of course, be strongly impacting Capricorn, Cancer, Aries, and Libra folk, because that's angular to you. And this is a moon that really kind of moves the needle in your life, changes the dial, so to speak, to a new station for the next 6 months. Aries, sun, moon, and rising sign. What do we got for you? Well, we got a full moon in your 10th house. Yeah, we do. What are we doing with that full lunation? Possibly you are going to fulfill something that you seeded or began last year at the end of December into the early first 2 weeks of January, and is follows activated. So it's going to be a domino effect. Like you're going to really change the career trajectory because of that follows that was baked into the new moon last year. And it's quite possible that with this full moon connected to the Sphinx of all things, you are going to kind of go into a place of deeper wisdom, some kind of archival, deep ancient history wisdom coming through you in the pursuit of career. Now, the full moon, full light in the 10th house is also working some magic with support structures in the sky, including Abundantia and Chiron. And I'm going to get rid of the ascendant descendant marker. But where can you be more chironically healed? And what do I mean by chironically healed? I mean that, oh, goodness gracious, give me a minute. I mean that you've had a chironic wound, as have most people, chironic wound in the story. And, oh, I forgot to even put the old, yeah, I did. A chironic wound in the story that is strongly connected to your identity. For you, Aries rising, it's like, I don't know who I am in this world. I feel I don't like the way I look. I've had some health challenges. I feel like, I feel abandoned by my mommy. I feel like I don't belong or fit in, or I don't feel good in my skin. These are all like chironic wounds in the house of the identity for all of you, Aries rising. For Aries sun, a wound around one's purpose and career since 2013. For those of you who are Aries moon, where do you live? Where's your home? Have you chosen the wrong homes? Have you moved too many times? Have you feel like you don't belong to your home? This is a Chironic wound too. Now, Abundantia shows up with Chiron and celebrates some new flourishing, some new cornucopia of goodness to respond to and heal all of those wounds that you've been working on for quite a long time. And the moon says we can resource the career and reputation light in order to heal the wound. And certainly with Jupiter in the bottom of your chart, it's like prosperity and abundance in and from the home allows you to shine brightly in the top of your sky in some endeavor in the public eye. It can be anything. If you're retired, how do you show up in the public or the top of the sky, or in the what actions do people see you doing? It's your praxis actions, 10th house narrative. I don't care if you're retired, you're seen doing something. I know an Aries guy, he's a musician, famous. He used to do famous composition, a collaboration with famous artists. He just started working with an artist again. And the thing is he's retired in quotes, but now he's doing this work again. And so now with this full moon, I can imagine this person's light shining much more brightly as they accomplish something significant in their visible reputation as a retired musician. You don't have to have a day job, guys, but there's something that wants to shine brightly up there. Why not let it shine, right? You a little light of mine, I'm going to let it shine. Now, there's a bit of a kite going on in the sky, but it's very subtle, so I'm not going to try to draw it in there. But with this water trine here, anchoring what is in more or less a lunation with a kite. I should have brought that up in the intro. I would say something along the lines that you may find yourself in a situation where peaking at the top of your sky is fortified by the water in the chart. And the water is the energy of your intuition, your flow, allowing things to move forward in an intuitive and natural way, moving in the path of least resistance, anchoring your success in the family of origin and childhood healings, and your willingness to find spiritual liberation and letting go of some of the things that hold you back by redefining yourself completely. Juno in the 8th house could also say business partnerships can emerge as well. Collaborations for financial success in your career space may emerge, and you're really hitting the mark with Artemis on the North Node when it comes to the 12th house. What is the 12th house? It is it can be money from distant shores and distant lands. So if you make money internationally or with barter and trade or distant customers or clients, this can really increase your success there as well. Now I'm going to grab a little water. I shall return. Okay, so let's go ahead and talk about Taurus and see what's going on. And I also should say that, there's a bit of completion energy with the number 9, which this moon reduces to, the 18th degree. So we'll also maybe lean into completions as well. So in other words, Aries, you might complete something here. You might end or complete a particular path in your career that you've kind of hit the mark, mastery level, completion, success. And, it's no longer useful for you to be in that storyline. Now I've got to plug in my, goodness gracious, my laptop. Yeah, it would be helpful to have a charge in my frigging computer when I'm recording. Oh my gosh, guys, I think I'm finally getting ready to say goodbye to this rental property because I love it, but I need to get to my new place. Okay, here we go. Taurus, sun, moon, and rising sign. We have a moon that's full in an earth sign, and it is in a flow to you called a trine. And this is good for you, this flowing energy. You should admire the flow, enjoy the flow, roll with the flow. The moon is big, it's full, it's at the number 9 energy. 18 becomes a 9 for fulfillment, completion, but also wisdom and truth. The lantern is being held in the house of God. This is going to lean you into the possibility over the 6 months that follows this moon of July 10th. Certainly evidence for that in the first 2 or 3 weeks that you might want to go traveling. You might want to go off on a pilgrimage. You might have to deal with courts and judges and complete something with legal matters. You might go off to university, college, and you might even get a book publishing deal. This is the full moon in the 9th house. house. This full moon in the ninth house is also connected to healing a chironic wound about your own being your own worst enemy in this life, your own self-undoing, your own stubbing your own toe, your own addictions and self-defeating patterns and habits. You've been coping with those things, questioning those things, wondering about how to cope and deal ever since 2013 when Chiron entered your 12th house. And now the moon is saying a cornucopia of abundance is square the moon, a turning point, a critical shift where you can now leave behind the challenge and move into the solution. You can be response able because responsibility is Capricornian, response able for your own wellness and your own healing of that which you do to be your own worst enemy. And this does include substance abuse and addictions, but also just patterns of self-undoing. Now, one thing I like about this lunation as well is it is anchoring this energetic, beautiful water trine. In fact, it does quite create the kite of success in this regard. And a water trine here is all about the flow in all of your desire houses, how you flow with your long range goals and dreams and hit the mark in destined ways with the arrow of Artemis, and how you can move into a greater flow in your long-term committed Juno relationship partnerships, and how you can move into a business and relationship partnerships and commitments, and how you can flow even more so with Hera down here, again, about those ironclad commitments in the third house of your daily habits and your daily routines and your daily life. You're really trying to turn some kind of significant corner here about the way you operate on the daily. Kind of feels to me like there's a lot of energy going on with Jupiter in the third house to expand your luck and prosperity off of this lunation when it comes to entrepreneurship, short distance travel, and neighbors and neighborhood and local environment situations. But you can also learn here. You could take a course, you could study, you could have a teacher. And this moon says we have a water trine to support fulfillment in the ninth house. What did you plant December the 30th last year at about 2 weeks in the house of God? Did you get an advisor, a therapist, a guide, a teacher, or a mentor to try to help support you in not being your own worst enemy? Were you looking into knowledge and literature and understanding and reading books about how to support yourself, so you're not your own worst enemy? If you were in that track at all at the end of last year into January, and then you're fulfilling it and you're taking it further, I encourage you to use this to find a spiritual guide, because the moon is in the house of guides and mentors, someone who can hold you by the hand and give you some guidance, or go on a pilgrimage to a distant shore, go on an adventure of a spiritual quest. Find your way in the house of God and a pilgrimage place. If that is appealing to you, it could be very, very powerful. Finally, there's a bunch of planets in your fifth house, anchoring a mystic rectangle. Basically, I think you're going to have to find more passion regarding things that inspire you, that are fun and they're pleasurable and creative, but they're healthy for you. They're healthy because it's Virgo. Find your healthy pleasures and enjoy your life a bit more. You'll notice that the healthy pleasure triangle is trining that moon. You're really able to go for joy, pleasure, fun, and play in a healthy way, especially with Asclepius here, to heal things that you were up to that may have been fun, but not necessarily good for you on the physical plane. That's what I've got. I hope that's enjoyable. And by the way, let go of something here. Let go of some kind of thing that it holds you back. Maybe it may seem disappointing, but let go of that business, that entrepreneurial thing, that creative project, that the demands on your time by a child. Let it go so that you can actually align with your own wellness and your own health. Let the children go. They'll find their own way, not your toddlers, right? Your adult children. Gemini, sun, moon, and rising sign. Now, there's a full moon in your beautiful big light full moon in your eighth house. And it's definitely got the deep mysteries of the Sphinx attached to it. And so if any of you are into that, this is the occult mysteries house. This would be about your tarot, your numerology, your dead people, your channeling of archangels, the hermetic wisdom traditions and mysteries, the supernatural, and the Sphinx is here. So you're really already there, really deepening it for you. So you might, and be ready to shed a light into some of the esoteric and spiritual traditions or occult knowledge and wisdom parts of your life over the next few months. Certainly look for evidence that in the 3 weeks that follows this moon. It's also a chunky money house, mortgages and money you get from a spouse or a marriage separation agreement, or money you get from an inheritance and that kind of thing. And there's a full light here. It does come off of the the moon that was seated January the 30th last year. So you might have made some life-changing shifts in the not 8th house at that time. And this is your taxes as well. So changes you made in other people's money, earned income as well last year into January now are going to fruit and unfold some new story for you. You'll notice that this moon in the 8th house is also reflecting the light of Jupiter, abundance, exalted abundance in your house of savings and earnings and resources. And so it definitely speaks to a larger increase of financial wellness because it reflects the hustle and the earnings, and it kind of puts a big light on maybe investments, maybe moving into portfolios or stock investing in the next 6 months. That's a possibility in this chart. Now, one of the other elements going on here is that if you're somebody who teaches or speaks and teaches, Jupiter with this moon reflecting speaking and teaching income sources can really be fully lit and fully shared or resourced up there in the 8th house. There's a bit of healing of wound around your career gains, your long-range goals and dreams, some of the friendship circles you have. You have abundance in the 11th house instead, that chironic wound about those matters that have been in and out and on and off since 2013, kind of being forced to make a change here. You can certainly have great career gains with abundantia up here, but in a way that's much more aligned with your truth and your wisdom. And so, by being more honed in on what is it that I am, what light do I need to shine in the world? This little light of mine, I'm going to let it shine. I have a progressed sun in Gemini, and that song was on my mind this morning. What light do you want to shine? Lunar light in the occult mysteries and the deep knowings of the 8th, and also the spiritual liberation there, so that you can move toward more auspicious prosperity and abundance. And that will be through your long-range goals and dreams, through the gains of your career in precision ways. Having the North Node and the Artemis arrow hit the mark in the 10th house creates a kite to the moon. So you're really trying to hit the bullseye, hit the mark in how to express your career in fated destined ways. So you can get worldly success and fame with the North Node here, FYI, if that's something you're interested in. And that's true until mid next year. And hitting the mark is the key to success. It's got to be true. It's got to be bullseye. It's got to be on target. With Juno and Jupiter and all of this and the sun in this water trine, right? Juno says, partner up with others, get employees, get hired help, make commitments to your health and wellness, make commitments to how you work in the office space with, discipline or rigor. But also Juno here, just like maybe you're going to collaborate, maybe a business partnership, maybe more collaborations in general through the work direction can be extremely successful for you. And all of this increases your wealth. There's no doubt about it. The backbone of a kite is forming in houses 2 and 8. This is a money and a resource accrual story, accruing greater abundance and fruitfulness financially is something the sky's trying to give you in the next 6 months. The stellium in the 4th house with Mars down there may indicate a change of home in the next year, especially with the South Node in the next 6 months after the moon in particular. So grab July 10th, add about 6 months. Some of you may change your home, and with Juno in the 6th house, this moon could even bring a change of home connected to rental property contracts and agreements. So there is a punisher of a broken oath down there. You might have to Mars break a legal contract or a lease. Now, it could happen soon. It could happen within 2 or 3 weeks of an eclipse, of this full moon, but it can also show up within 6 months of the full moon as well. I sure could use a glass of ice cold water. Is there any ice cold water in my house? Any water at all? I better go get some. Oh, wait. I think I found somebody who can bring me some cold water. I know it's not the dog. I am so thirsty. Okay, Cancer, sun, moon, and rising sign. It is a moon that's full, shining brightly, opposite you. So it's going to be connected to other people, right? Whether if it's your Cancer sun, it's other people in your career path. Your Cancer moon, other people opposite where your home life is living. But other people is like the seventh house. And for you rising particularly, it's your spouse or your significant long-term committed love partner across the way. And it's shining a light with them. I mean, there's a Sphinx there. Maybe deep mysteries are being revealed that were hidden or misunderstood in the context of long-term committed love and marriage. And the energy of the full moon, full light is also taking cue from a new beginning and a fresh start, new moon at 9 degrees of Capricorn. That happened on December 30th last year. With follows for game changes, go back to like New Year's Eve. What were you doing with a significant other around New Year's Eve last year? Because that is what is actually going, by a miracle, some water just appeared before my very eyes. Thank you. Oh my goodness, that's good. I was so thirsty. You could go back to New Year's Eve, go back to the early parts of January. What was happening in a long-term committed business or love story? Because whatever was happening then, if you had any of those people in your life, this is the seed planting back then for the fulfillment now. I kind of wonder, I mean, certainly if you have a 9 degree, anywhere near 9 degrees sun, moon, or rising, or even this particular one, 18 degrees, this is going to really be significant. It has impact, right? Hera, she's the dedicated, loyal wife of Zeus. And, you know, Jupiter is expanding your dedication energies, but it's where have you been committed in ironclad ways? I hate that word, so I'm going to keep using it, to some other person, a business partner, a commitment, a vow, an agreement with another, any other in your life. That's on the table for completion, endings, or revelations or insights for you in this moon that will play out on July 10th. Add a couple weeks, add 6 months. I don't know. There's the energy of abundance in your career. How can you prosper? How can you flourish and be on purpose using your natural gifts and talents? That's what Chiron asked you to figure out since 2013. And the moon squares that. And so you're going to flourish. You're going to find some new fruitfulness, abundance, some kind of glow up. That's what the sky's asking you to do. And it's going to require time, right? Time, because Capricorn is ruled by Chronos. So over time, over the next 6 months, maybe you learn how to flourish and make more money in your career. In long, stabilizing ways that will last at least 3 years because of Saturn. There is a water trine that forms a kite to the moon right here. This is indicating that you're going to kind of use the following areas of power to succeed in your work and career, in your agreements with others. And it is to be on target with your Dharma, to be leaning into wisdom, knowledge, and truth, and to align with the spiritual part of your story. And you could be very successful as well by finding guides or mentors to support you in the next few months from this moon. And maybe even leaning into going to university or college or education or back to school, or even into book publishing areas of success. And Jupiter is making you lucky, so damn lucky, all the way through till next year. So go with the flow and get the luck flowing. With the energy of Juno in the 5th house, commitments around entrepreneurial projects, creative projects, writing projects, art projects, performing and arts, all of that is successful agreements and contracts, especially in publications that show up for you. If you're a writer, you've got a stellium in the house of writing. There's kind of even a double kite on this moon. And there's some writing projects you can apply great precision, passion, Mars to, and find some success because you're almost like channeling the muse. Your volcanic eruption is down there in the writing, communicating, marketing, and selling part of your chart. And if you've ever wanted to have like a best-selling book, I don't know if this guy could pull it off for some of you Cancers who are writers in this lifetime. Lastly, you might want to commit to more romantic love or more intimacy sexually in your life with someone else. Now, if you don't have this someone else yet, there's no reason this cannot bring it for you, that this may lead to a long-term committed love showing up for you singletons in the next year. Very good possibility, meeting a person from a foreign country, foreign shore, foreign land, or because you have been traveling. So let's see if the moon can bring a new love partner for the singletons in the story. I didn't put Venus in here, but she's in the house of foreign and distant lands as well at the time of this moon. So love from far off places and distant lands. Leo, sun, moon, and rising. Here we have, I'm getting punchy. Here we have a story of a full light of Capricorn moon at 18 Cap in your sixth house of health and work. Now, at a health level, it's just going to shine a spotlight on a health issue if you have one and allow you to find a solution, basically. But if otherwise, you're going to focus on your health, especially watch for your knees with Capricorn, your bones and bony structures, and teeth as well, maybe. So these are things to watch for your health. And you're going to have a full light shining there. And the moon will bring you your attention to it, of course. But it's also your work routines, your employer relationships, your pets and rental situations, property. With Juno in the fourth house, you may indeed accrue a rental agreement to lease a room out, lease out your property, get a new rental for yourself, to change your home with a rental opportunity. So keep all of that in mind. I certainly think that because you seeded a new moon here on December 30th last year, and add that a couple of weeks after, look to things that you were considering to do with jobs, new beginnings in work, changes in health routines. Everyone did dry January, right? But, maybe more than that. Maybe you went to a new workout routine. Maybe you took care of your health in a new way. Maybe you changed your dietary habits, because the moon here often can indicate a shift of what you put in your mouth. And with Mars in the second house, it's like quitting, ending, cutting, and severing addictions, foods, things that go through the nose and mouth that aren't good for you, but even just food styles that don't work. And this moon can bring a full light into which food styles are best suited for change for you and for surrender and letting go. With Volcanicary, you'd be shocked to be like, your doctor says, you need to eat meat. You're, I don't eat meat. He goes, you need to eat meat. Like, the internet just cut out, guys, and I'm not going to start this video all over again or try to patch it together. We were on Leo, self-undoing addictions. Maybe I can try to edit it out of the long form video when it's together, but holy man, for no good reason, the internet just cut out. Okay, addiction, self-undoing, bad habits and patterns, and getting a grip on that from this moon, and no longer putting yourself under that spell of your own worst enemy. You can shift that in the next few months after this lunation. I wonder about the idea of the abundance. You got a chironic wound in the ninth house. Maybe you went to school to the wrong university since 2013 and you didn't lean into proper education. You didn't get your right education. Maybe there's things to do with the ninth house that have to do with a father figure and a wounded relationship that's coming to change because of Saturn. Maybe it's a father figures. Maybe it's been a wound since 2013 about foreign lands, travel, your spiritual path, your spiritual belief that wants to heal. And the moon is in a square to that, bringing critical turning points in regards to the matters I just discussed. And certainly with the moon in the house of work, it could indicate a change of career connected to a change of learning, an educational shift to change your work path as well. And the moon can give you clues. You get abundance in the ninth house. It could also be money from a father figure, but also just a sort of a fruitfulness around education, foreign lands, travel, learning, pilgrimages, etc. But you got a critical turning point here that's trying to happen. Well, the other thing I want to mention here is the energy of water trine is flowing through your sky in the moksha houses. And certainly it can mean you're getting in touch with some spiritual intensity within yourself. You're leaning into your, breaking free and breaking through of all the things that hold you back, the dad, the mom, the family of origin, where you live, your tribe. Some of you could change your home, move to another new home, change your relationship to your parents, change your relationship to your tribe and homeland. Big energies want to shift things here, but it all puts you back into the sixth house, which is the house of work, service, health, pets, rental property. Juno in the fourth house, on that moon, looks like a contract or agreement, but North Node in the eighth can be buying and selling, mortgages and financing, home, land, property, real estate, and change in the next 3 or 4 weeks after the moon, certainly, and also within 6 months of this lunation. A big stellium in your second house is definitely going to put your attention on better health. South Node says, let go, cut, end, and sever. Mars and Asclepius heal your body. And if you've been doing really, not too great with your, food style, Punisher, a broken oath is there. You keep saying, I'm not going to drink, and you keep drinking. You're not going to smoke the weed, you keep smoking. You're not going to eat that food, and you keep doing it. You're going to get a turning point change with volcanic excitement as you move away from your own bad patterns and habits and make a damn good change here that really works for you. Let me know how that goes. Oh, Virgo, sun, moon, and rising. First of all, there's a moon and it's full and it's in Capricorn and it flows to you and it's in the house of children, pregnancy, and fertility. It's in the house of your creativity, your art, your sexuality, and your romance. And it's a big light. If you've been having sexual romantic challenges, the light shines out. You can look at that clearly and see what you need to do. And because this moon is also talking to the North Node and Artemis in your seventh house, it really does say, focus on your relationship to romantic love, sexual energy, and long-term committed love partnerships, and see what you've got there. Otherwise, it's about your art, your creativity, and your entrepreneurial stories. Full moons can be very fertile and it's big light there. So you might be fertile at this time, or you might be getting ready to conceive a child off of this moon. Maybe it's not the most likely story, I will say that, but because Venus does move into Cancer at the end of the month of July, it puts you in pregnancy fertility zones within about a month after this moon or 3 weeks after this moon. So you could conceive. So if you want to conceive, or your partner and you're thinking of it, great. Otherwise, be a bit more careful. Now, Virgo, let's get a few things underway here. If you're an artist, if you're an entrepreneur, or if you are in love or romantic love at this point, this is the focal point of this lunation. But there was a new moon, right, on the 30th of December. So think about, what did you do for New Year's Eve? And what did you do in the first 2 weeks of January or so? Because that was the seed you planted for life-changing turning points, because it was conjunct Pholos with regards to fifth house matters. Your children are here if you already have kids, major turning points with your relationship to those children. Your children are on your radar in the month of July. I have a Virgo rising girlfriend. Her daughter will be visiting in end of July, early August from London. So your children are on your radar if you have children. And if you don't, again, you can get them off of this energy. Now, the moon flows to you. So you don't mind this moon. It's working with you, not against you. You've got a kind of sense of, I'm going with the flow. This moon is working for me. We're earthing it together. Mars is making you decisive. What do you want to quit? Do you want to quit your job? Do you want to quit an addiction? Do you want to quit a food style? Do you want to quit a relationship? You've got Mars in your court. Your quitting factor, ending, cutting, and severing, is really high as this lunation takes form. And Punisher, a broken oath, and healing Asclepius, and all of that. Like, where have you been your own rule breaker, or who's broken an agreement? And are you meting out punishment? I mean, you could be, you never know. You might be in the mood. Hera, what ironclad commitments do you want to make to your long range goals and dreams and visions? This moon is going to help you source more joy, more play, more pleasure, more inspiration and enthusiasm in your life. But you want to actually make commitments to succeed and prosper in long-range goals and dreams and visions and career gains. That's the Jupiter Sun energy up there for you. But it takes that commitment. You have to focus on what you want. And you have Venus traveling through your 10th house of career for till the end of the month of July. So you got some success and luck in your career. So use that luck liberally. You might want to go into the abundance of Abundantia Chiron in the house of inheritances, investments, shared monies with a spouse, tax rebates, sources of income that are derivative, that are not paycheck oriented. Is it possible that you're going to have more abundance on this moon? Yes, because the moon is also in the house of good fortune. This is good for winning money, speculative gains, casinos, and lotteries. This is a moon that could also be fulfilling just good fortune in the money you share with your spouse or significant other. And those monies look very abundant. But chironic wound here since 2013, you probably mismanaged some of your monies, or you were uncertain about it, or you had wounds about your partner and you sharing money properly. That's healing off of this moon in a critical turning point way. This is a moon anchoring a beautiful water trine. Water trines bring flow, least resistance, intuition into the story. The water is flowing in houses 3, 7, and 11. These are desire houses and relationship houses, and it brings greater flow to your significant one-on-one relationships, your friendship circles, and even your relationships to people in your local environment, picking up a lot of relational flow. But underneath all of that is desires. What is it you truly want? Because you're making decisions now. You got Mars in your court for the rest of this month, and you want to act from precision decision making. You got your act together. Mars in Virgo is like very hit the mark. He's not loosey and goosey and sloppy. If you're going to make a decision for something, to keep the relationship, to quit the addiction, and on we go, to change your home, to whatever you're going to do, to jump up to another level of career success, to quit a job even. He's going to square Venus as well. You might find yourself just on your A game this month, where you're just, hey, I'm going to do it. I know exactly what I want, and I'm going to get what I want, because I'm focused on, really focused on being precise on my actions and decisions at this time. Because this moon is basically forming a kite to the 5th house, there are some destiny factors of success if you are an entrepreneur or creative, or if you are wanting romantic love to work out, or if you do want to make a baby off of the sky. Jupiter is a fertility god, and all Virgos who are childbearing age and female are going to experience a fertility transit through till next summer. So if you're not thinking of a baby, then be very careful, because it has a lot of unexpected, exciting pregnancy possibilities here with Uranus, even as this moon is occurring, having moved into the 10th house. It still is things that are unexpected and surprising could shock you, the Virgo in you. And Uranus heads back on November 7th to one of the more fertile places of the sky, the 9th house. So don't forget, the moon lasts for 6 months. So I'm not saying you're going to get pregnant 2 days after this moon, but 6 months after, within the 6 months, or maybe a little bit of unexpected pregnancy stimulation here. All right. Is it you or your partner who wants to hit the mark? Is this business or love? Who's got the arrow? Artemis's arrow, bow and arrow in her hand. There can be some intensity in a relationship of significant commitment in your life, a business partner, marriage, love partner, but you're going to resolve that because of the kite and all the flow. And it has to do with what you desire and what you really want in that love story. Because it's super important to know, with the North Node transiting your 7th house in next summer, you're trying to grow a bigger pot for the relationship to expand into. The root bound relationship wants to grow bigger, and it might take more time than you are used to. Like, oh, I have to work on this. Yes, you do. You have to work on that relationship till mid next year. Otherwise, it can go into disrepair or ending. So watch out for that intensity. And you might be able to focus off of this moon on ways that you are in alignment with a significant other when it comes to what brings you mutual fun, joy, play, and pleasure, and romantic engagements as well. Some of you don't have a relationship. That's okay. I'm not going to talk about you because it's not important. So just ignore that part. All right. So if you are a Libra, sun, moon, and rising sign, there's a big full moon light in Capricorn in your 4th house, the 4th house of home, property, land, real estate, and maybe a move, because a big full moon is completions or endings, and it's taking cue from an energy of the South Node and the 12th as well. There could be a move coming your way connected to a distant shore or distant land. If you are moving, and some of you will from this moon, you planted a seed for that lunation that you may want to move. And it's a game-changing move. If you're moving anytime after this moon of July 10th into a new place to live, then it's planted from the December 30th new moon last year. And it plants a Folos energy, like a domino effect. This isn't just a move. This will change everything. Because I moved, I met the love of my lifetime. Because I moved, I got, more prosperous in my career. Because I moved, I want you to think about, because I moved, X happened. For those of you who are Libras who are moving, now you can move actually within 6 months of the July 10th a moon, right? You don't have to move now. So I want you to think about that too, because if you do move, it can be within 6 months. The moon reflects big old Jupiter, Santa Claus in your career sky with the sun. Certainly, you got a lot going on to commit and make ironclad commitments to career success over this moon's energetic field. And you're getting some of that success because of what you're doing in and from the home. Maybe it's because of new work routines or health diets or protocols in the home, but career success is improving and the moon is engaging with that success as well. Abundance and abundantia, Chiron, seventh house. How do we want to be more, have a cornucopia of goodness in your significant business, client, audience, marketplace, and significant long-term marriage relationships? How are you wishing to see it thrive? Because that's what Chiron is trying to activate here. A change of home can bring a change of career. A change of home can bring a change of relationship. A change of home can bring a better relationship. The relationship can heal and improve the situation in the home. You've got a lot of 10th house, 7th house, 4th house dynamic action going on here. Especially if you've been feeling chironically wounded in the house of your audience, business partnerships, and significant love relationships. And this can really open up doors of healing in that area of your life. The moon is running on a water current. It's in a big triangle of water flow here. And I love this moon if you are somebody who is wanting to improve your Artha energies, more flow, more ease, more grace when it comes to work, job, career, money, earnings, recognition, and success. All of the material prosperity parts of your chart want to find new flow. Juno in the second house can bring you business partnerships or partnerships in your work and career space. And this kind of moon can even bring you a new job because it really anchors in contractual agreements with Hera and Juno in the workhouse. And it may be a change of job means a change of home or homeland even. North Node hits the mark with Artemis in the house of job and work. So both rental contracts and leases and work changes are baking into this lunation for greater success over the course of up to 2 weeks or 3 weeks after the moon, but certainly up to 6 months later. If you want to get a pet, you can hit the mark. It sounds trivial, but the moon is what nurtures you in the home. Saturn means traditional. Hitting the mark with Artemis and the North Node, a destined traditional pet in the home. So what's a traditional pet mean to you? What does that mean? Is there, or one, like getting a pet was just like the kind of pet you had as a kid or that your mom and dad liked or something like that. But there can be a pet coming off of this moon for some Libra sun, moon, and risings over the course of the few months that follow this lunation. But you maybe start thinking about that, planting the pet seed back in January. And now you're going to fulfill that seed as well. With a stellium in your 12th house, obviously the Virgo stellium, letting go, releasing, and surrendering your own undoing, self-addictions, bad habits, and patterns. It's the same constellation that also could indicate a change of home to a distant shore or foreign land. If that happens, it's connected to career and work. Now, Scorpio, sun, moon, and rising sign. Number one, it is a full light shining in your third house, and your third house is trips, travel, short distance, skill space, learning, teaching, writing, communicating, marketing, and selling, and things to do with your local environment. And this also is your siblings' house. Sometimes aunts, uncles, cousins can all hang out here. So there's a big light on that part of your sky. Now, the light is shining here, but Jupiter's in the ninth house with the sun. And there may be some urge here to travel abroad, to go on long journeys and travel for adventure coming off of this moon. So not just in the moon, which is July 10th, add a couple of weeks, but over the 6 months that follow, some international pilgrimages, travel, adventures. Those are possible. You might want to make your home a new place. You're moving your home away from where you are to somewhere else that you have to go to. And there can be a change of home for some of you, but it'd be more like, it won't be down the street. It'd be another city, another town, or even another country in the sky. This is about abundance, maybe. You want to be more abundant in your work, your career, your health. You want to be more abundant and fruitful and good in all of the sixth house matters. This could really orient you towards a change of a career move or a change of work environment connected to a change of home. It can help you flourish. You've been trying to find a more meaningful career path job. You've been trying to align your work and your service with meaning and purpose, maybe missing the mark. If you have health challenges, especially headaches or head problems or head injuries or anything to do with your head, you might have been working hard to like heal that. Now you can bring some positive solutions there as well. Now, having the energy of a water trine is so lovely. The water trine is about where things are going to flow, and the water trine is flowing through you, making commitments with Juno to what you want to achieve. And you're also looking at your lens of life through marriage. Should I a commitment to others? And Hera on the it does the same thing on the sun. Is it possible that if you're single, you might want to commit to a new relationship in the next 6 months from this moon, but that person may come in from travel, foreign lands, and different cultures and different countries. Having Arrow hit the mark North Node in the house of romantic love, single Scorpios looking for love, you're on the way in the next 6 months. And you may have to go to an educational setting or a travel setting to meet this person. With the paired and already partnered ones, Scorpio, this is going to infuse more romance, leisure travel, fun and pleasure and play within an existing relationship. No two ways about it. Certainly, there could be fertility here. That would be indicating travel and leisure and fun and play and getaways romantically could lead to some conceptual energy, especially if you've been thinking you want to. Full moons are very pregnant with possibility, where that fertility comes through journeys or travel or romantic leisure getaways or things like that. With a stellium in your 11th house, I kind of wonder what you're getting ready to let go of. This moon might help you decide, cut, and sever the job that you no longer want, the career gain strategy that no longer works for you. And the moon is flowing to that stellium, creates a wedge to be exact. And so you might very simply want to let go of some kind of vision, goal, or dream that you realize no longer is suiting who you are. A volcanic eruption with the South Node could mean a sudden eruption of how you are not only letting go of an old vision for your life, but kaboom, maybe even really letting go of an old employment, work, career gain strategy. That can include quitting a job or quitting a source of income at this time, not just right after the moon, but in the 6 months that follows. Sagittarius, sun, moon, and rising sign. There's a UFO out there today. I'm looking out my window, Sag, and there's another one of those perfect UFO clouds. I took pictures of them the other day. Not every cloud is a cloud. So just for you, I'll get you all up and running with the UFO story. You have a full lunation, a moon. It's big and bright in your second house of financial situations, your savings, your earnings, and your resources, your food style, what you put in your mouth or through your face or nose, and matters to do with speech. But mostly it's usually a money story. So full light shining here from a new moon planted January 30th. What were you doing back then when it came to financial matters? With this full light, full moon here, it's also asking for a sort of an elbow to your fifth house of abundance, asking you to look at how you can prosper and heal a chironic wound when it comes to money and your children. Money and your children wounds are there. I mean, obviously your adult children, I don't think you're fighting with a baby, about a piggy bank problem. Money challenges and challenges connected to your art, your creativity, your entrepreneurial business have been with you on and off since 2013. And now you're going to kind of try to blow it out of the water. This lunation squares that chironic wound, but good news, asteroid abundance gets into the mix. This is not too shabby if you want to try to win a bit of money with abundantia there. You could, strike it rich with a lottery win. But I would say, no, your limit, play within it. One ticket is all you need to win. This is not financial advice, but I would play a lottery ticket if I were you with this kind of sky. With the sun and Jupiter reflecting the light of chunky money, especially, that's true. But this is also inheritances. This is also money to do with loans, investments, and your children can get muddled up in this as well if you have children. I don't know, but certainly a water trine can't harm you in houses 8, 12, and 4. And the water trine could indicate, like a kite here, that you're going to change your home, expand your home, get a bigger home, get a destined new home. And you have the financial wherewithal and means to do that. And that would be true, not just within 2 or 3 weeks of the moon, but over the course of an entire 6 months after this moon. And Juno is flowing, the goddess of marriage, in the house of distant shores, but also agreements. So there's a lot of agreements you want to make about home and distant shores. The money seems to be there. Like, Jupiter in your eighth house over the next year can plant seeds. Like what I found is that if it's an inheritance, you know that the money's coming, but you may not get the money until next summer when he moves into the gains of the eight. So you may not get money for an inheritance, for example, until next summer. But money from inheritance can be coming in here, but also money from spousal shared resources specifically, because as Jupiter transits here, this is where you get, spousal separation, asset money, alimony, palimony, all that stuff. And if you're looking for any of that, that could show up here as well. If you're wanting to divide assets in a marriage separation, this should go well. Jupiter is flowing to the North Node, and that looks like everything should go well, especially around who gets what in the home. Now, the other thing going on in the sky is you got a stellium in your 10th house. And the 10th house is like, what are you getting ready to let go of in your reputation or career or work situation? This means I'm wedded, I'm divorced, I'm married. That's the 10th house energy. So your social standing can be going to a shift into new gears as something goes, let go, surrender, cut, end, and sever, but also maybe a career space, a work job space that you no longer want, and you're getting ready to let that go as well. And there's a mystic rectangle here. So if you let go of it, it could also be a full light on your earnings, monies, resources. If you're going to let go of a job or career thing, it's going to happen pretty quickly. It's going to be a kaboom with volcanoes up there. Not a lot of warning here. And again, it doesn't have to be that, oh, I don't have a career, I'm retired. Well, hello. Then what about your social reputation? What about your standing in the world? This is the house of marriage. And Mars up here is usually the opposite with the South Node, a divorce, a separation, an ending announced to the public. These are possibilities for some Sages. It's not a great sky to start a new relationship under, in my humble opinion, just so you know. So we're talking about if you have one where it could kind of go sideways on you. All right, that's what I've got, guys. Let's move on. Capricorn, sun, moon, and rising sign. First things first, the moon is full in your sign. Your sun is your career. Your Capricorn moon is your home and home life matters. Your Capricorn rising is your identity in the game of life, your simulation avatar. A full light shines on you like a spotlight, a flashlight. You have to look at yourself. You have to look within. You're on the spotlight. You might be burning the midnight hour and at night, staying up all night, maybe pondering the meaning of life. The full light is shining on you. And it also is evocative, especially if you have an 18-degree sun, moon, or rising near there because of the Sphinx. So what deep mysteries about who you are, what deep mysteries about your very nature are being revealed to you. I would say that you could also work with the idea that you planted the seed on December 30th. What were you doing at New Year's Eve last year? What were you doing into the first 2 weeks of January? Pholos was there, meaning it's a domino effect lunation last year, and it can really turn a corner in your life. And now the fulfillment of that is here and over the next 2 to 3 weeks from July 10th, but even add 6 months, you're really seeing something happen. You're really noticing the changes are happening. Now, you can see that the energy of abundance is in the fourth house, abundance from the family of origin, money from your mother, abundance coming from the fourth house of your home or the property or the land you live on, abundance coming from your homeland. Chironic moon for you guys ever since 2013. Or is it 13 or 19? Oh my God, my brain. 2019. Sorry. Where is my true home? Where do I belong? What is it I'm trying to accomplish in my home life that's purposeful and meaningful? Now you're going to have some sort of fruitful cornucopia of abundance. Well, I'd take it. Why not? And the moon is going to push the abundance into a concrete visual awareness for you. With this moon, you have a water trine that supports it. And there's flow, ease, and grace in the house of marriage, in the house of friendships and groups of belonging, in the house of your siblings, cousins, nieces, nephews, aunts, uncles, the kindred folk, the kinfolk, but also your third house is travel. And there's an arrow and a north node, and any travel that you take June 10th at about 2 to 3 weeks, that travel has an arrow mark, Artemis taking cue with the arrow and bow. Travel hits the mark. Travel shortly after this moon can be very powerful and very significant for you. Keep that in mind. And this arrow that hits the mark on this third house of travel is also flowing to your significant long-term relationship partnership. And Juno, the goddess of commitment. So if you're in a relationship, it could bring a stronger commitment to the one you're with through travel. If you're not, you could find yourself meeting somebody through travel. You may also be looking at a lot of flow regarding new contractual agreements connected to gains in your career, to earnings and work matters. You also could use this for writing or learning. And so writing and learning opportunities come emerge from this as well, especially with the arrow hitting the mark, Artemis in the third house. She's also a goddess of the moon, right? And so there's also the Artemis, the moon goddess, flowing from the third house. It's not a bad idea to start a writing project off of this energy, or publishing project of some sort, especially social media landscapes like Substack in the third house could really hit the mark for you. Now, with Jupiter here in your seventh house for a year, until next summer, you're really looking at the possibility of legal weddings and marriages, moving in together, making a deeper commitment in an existing love story. If you're not with somebody, however, then you might be looking at the opportunity to meet somebody very powerfully, positively destined for you. Jupiter in your seventh house, trining the North Node. Well, you could meet them in your travel or in your local neighborhood across the supermarket aisle. But, singletons could meet somebody destined over this story. And because the moon is connected to that, is like really saying that this moon suggests the possibility of a new love story for a single Capricorn may emerge in the weeks and months after this moon. What do you need to commit to? I mean, Hera, she's like the goddess of long suffering. Zeus's, she married the guy, right? She married Zeus and she's on the sun. Right there. There's husband and wife. Do you need to make a commitment to a relationship of some sort, or a business partner, or a commitment to meeting your audience more than halfway? And if you do, your career gains will improve as well. Or a commitment to your writing projects, putting them into the public eye, or a commitment to a partnership with all that travel there. Maybe you're in a relationship that requires travel, and are you willing to commit despite the distance? That's another way of looking at this. Finally, there's a stellium in your ninth house, and oh my God, like what the hell is that, right? So the asteroid stellium in the ninth house just flow to the moon, and it's like, what do you need to end, cut, and sever? And change Mars and release South Node, connected to legal matters, connected to where you want to punish someone who broke an agreement. This is the house of third marriages, connected to a third marriage storyline. Release, cut, end, sever, let go. Alrighty. Even let go of some of your spiritual beliefs and philosophies that you thought were really fitting you, but now you realize, wait a minute, this is not working for me anymore. It's holding me back. I need to release it. I need to let it go. It wouldn't be a too bad an idea to kind of really sift through your belief drawers and your belief closet and toss out the beliefs that no longer work for you. There's a lot of belief clearing going on over the next 2 to 3 weeks after the moon, and even up to the next 6 months. Wow, Aquarius, sun, moon, and rising. I feel like I've been doing this for 1,000 years today. What's up? What's up, girls and guys? Unless I'm one of you. All right, full moon shining brightly in Capricorn. Sure. What about it? It's so subtle. Do you want to get some enlightenment, Buddhahood, Do you want to walk in water? Do you want to get full Monty shunyata or whatever? You can get big enlightenment energy here because this is a full moon in the house of enlightenment or breaking through the liberating yourself from the matrix, so to speak. And so one thing is to consider is what were you doing in January last year, like December 30th through to January, regarding breaking free of the illusion, the matrix, having spiritual renewal, all of that. Did you plant seeds for that last January? Because if you did, kaboom, they're going to flourish. But also, hey, 12th house is distant shores and foreign lands, money made there. Trips taken there. Last January, I went to Mexico with my girlfriend. And so, it could indicate a fulfillment of more travel abroad for you. For some reason, you might be indicating you're going to take another journey to a distant shore, may be bookending from the trip in January. Funny, in August, I'm going to go see my girlfriend who I went to Mexico with up in her place in the Yukon. So it's just very literal. The full moon here, however, it was connected to a new moon on domino effect follow. So it means that travel has a domino effect if you travel to distant shores. And certainly with the Sphinx squaring in the ninth house, there can be almost a travel to sacred sites or pilgrimages indicated for you in the next 6 months, not just leisure travel, but more dedicated travel, more mystery travel, more pilgrimagey travel for some Aquarians. This is a moon that is full in the 12th house. And so your gains and your income from distant shores, foreign lands, digital income and borderless revenue can be quite fruitful, right, during this next few months. The full moon is squaring Abundantia Chiron, activating it, pushing and shoving it into action, asking you to be more abundant and prosperous, and a cornucopia of abundance through writing, communicating, teaching, marketing, and selling. And the Chironic wound since 2019 has been trying to help you heal. This is also an abundance of travel. So travel is definitely highlighted for you in the next few months. Having this moon forming a water trine as a part of a kite, right here, is important. The water trine is flowing in the Artha money houses of making money, earning money, saving money. Second house, North Node, Artemis, flowing to your work environment, your job, your employer storylines, flowing to your career and reputation. Now, Juno can mean a contract, an agreement that wants to happen in your career space, flowing to your employer space. Jupiter says an abundance of luck and success with your employee situations. Also, potentially an activation with Jupiter here of a new pet in the next 6 months. But let's keep it simple. It is 6th house, 10th house, 2nd house stories, and it has to do with money, prosperity, and earnings, flow, ease, and grace. Increase, North Node, hitting the mark, Artemis, in your money, earnings, wealth, career stuff. I don't see a downside. I really don't. Not sure why. Just like looking hard. You want to commit. Hera says commit. Juno says commit. And it still does bring partnerships. So some of you may align the work you do through a new partnership, new agreements, and new contracts over the next 6 months. Well, you can also get employees, which I need to do. I need to hire some help. So that would be me as an Aquarius for my business and getting more employees going. With this storyline, you're going to also notice that you're kind of dealing with an 8th house action, right? Mars, South Node, cutting through the 8th house of taxes and inheritances and shared resources with a spouse. Now, Mars is like really strongly dedicated to clearing something here, cutting through something, making sure that we, release something with the South Node. Certainly there can be some change in your finances. Don't see it as necessarily negative, not with the North Node in the 2nd house, but you could cut your reliance on spousal shared resources, inheritance money, resources, government monies, cut and end and sever and let go of monetary shared income and resources that aren't yours, that you have a connection to through somebody else. Because you're going to make more money. You got the North Node going through your 2nd house and worldly successes there, and you're hitting the mark. And all of this moon just supports that, especially those of you who make money from distant shores or are inclined to be prosperous through money-making endeavors connected to pilgrimages and wisdom and book publishing, even with the Atlantis. So that's Atlantis at the top of the sky in your 9th house. But that's why we say pilgrimages. And I say the Sphinx. Well, the Sphinx is involved too. So any travel you do, think Atlantis, think Sphinx. You're not just going on a Mexico margarita trip. There's something much deeper here about the reason for travel. You could travel for book writing, travel to research a book project, travel for spiritual wisdom and truth, and pilgrimages are not accepted here. It won't be the Camino for me again. I'll tell you that. I hated the Camino. Camino was way overrated. It was a disaster. I'll never do that again. It was so many levels, not my cup of tea. All right. Do not get me trying to walk miles a day. It's not my cup of tea. All right. That's what I got for you. Let's move into the next story. Pisces, sun, moon, and rising. It is a story where there's a big light of a full moon in your 11th house, sextiling you, so you like it. It's big moon energy. It's in the house of career gains and career earnings. It's in the dreams, goals, and wishes, and you can see what you want. It's in the house of a sibling, one older, and it's your friendship circles as well. And this is a big light, and you planted a seed here for all of this to fulfill itself in a big way. You planted the seed in January. Well, December the 30th, out of about 2 weeks last year. And what is it you are planting? Follows game changing. Your game changing seed planting for new earning strategies in your career is one of the ways to see that. Now, if you are looking at this sky, you'll notice that there's abundantia sitting with Chiron in the earnings house. And you've been doing since 2019 a bit of a wound on the money front, savings, earnings, and resources. And now this is healing, and your gains are going to increase, and your career gains in particular. Looks like you have a pivotal turning point that's coming upon you for financial success vis-a-vis work and career matters. One of the other things is that you'll notice that you are anchoring this story in a flowing, graceful water trine that forms a kite to the moon. The water trine, houses 1, 5, and 9 are dharma, alignment with purpose, moving into alignment with your talents and gifts and your true reason for being born on earth, a meaningful life. So you're moving into a way of being in alignment here. One of the nice things about that is water does flow and alignment will flow. You're trying to hit the mark with the Artemis arrow and hit the mark in a destined faded way. So you want to be on target with that bow and arrow, aiming for the things that are going to bring you Jupiter in the 5th house, yay you, energy. Commit to entrepreneurial creative endeavors, commit to projects that inspire and enthuse you, commit to love and romance, commit to joy and pleasure, commit to your children. Well, if you're single, you could get pregnant from this perhaps, but otherwise commit to the children you already have. Some kind of flow, ease, and grace is here. Jupiter is in the house of good fortune. And you never know, it could indicate some financial fortunes are headed your way as well, unexpectedly. Juno says committing and ironclad agreements to the book publishing deal, the long distance travel, the spiritual philosophy that's going to allow you to prosper. You could also do a possible romantic love story that leads to marriage in a foreign land, a getaway wedding, a romantic getaway, a marriage for legal and, visa purposes for some people. Now, Mars is cutting through your 7th house with a stellium. It's not easy because that can be about difficulties in a committed long-term relationship with Mars, letting go and surrendering. Punisher broken oaths is here. Oh dear, Orcus. There's a lot of intensity with Volcanus. So I'm wondering if some of you are ending a relationship is coming to a catastrophic closure. Some kind of eruptions are showing up in those long-term committed love stories. Now, it doesn't always look that way. It doesn't have to look that way, right? Got a lot going on. I kind of have a double kite in the sky here. But there are some major intensities with the long-term committed love house. Now, if you're single looking for love, then you're baking in a kind of like separation, right? Mars is very neutralist, and he'll be here all through July into mid-August, can be separated from the one I love. That would indicate a need for this moon to jig you up for some travel in order to be together. But if it's not like geographical separation and having to travel to be together, then just watch out for this being a moon that is flowing to the tension in the marriage house. So would like to help resolve it with a mystic rectangle. But Punisher of broken oaths, who breaks the oath? In a long-term committed love story, who's breaking the agreements? You or your partner? If you are looking at your career itself, I want you to consider this moon such a spotlight on you looking at your long range goals and dreams when it comes to your career. Like, what do you really want to accomplish? What kinds of career gains are right for you? You know, is it this path or that path? Which will bring me more fun, joy, play, and pleasure, says Jupiter. Do you want to make money or do you want to enjoy your life? And by the way, I make money. So you're really looking for the spark of enthusiasm, inspiration around the gains of one's career that this Jupiter fifth house, you know, moon off the 10th is trying to bring your attention to, really. If you have children, good things are happening with and because of and through your children. And I'm wondering if there isn't some connection to adult children or just children in general for some of you that they're going to play a strong role in this story. Now, you know, your children, your spouse's children doesn't matter because sometimes we have blended families. Just children in general are featured highly from this moon, and they need to resolve some tensions maybe there, but also there's a focus on the children and luck and opportunity and growth. And some children have children, and this can easily look like I'm going to be a grandparent as well in the 6 months off of this lunation. And if you don't have children, then ignore everything I said. Um, you know, a lot of luck in this chart for you, Pisces, because, you know, Juno in the Lakshmi ninth house, a lucky house, Jupiter, the luck god, in a good fortune luck house. And you have hitting the mark, you know, here. So you do have a lot of luck, and it really applies to your elder sibling or your career gains, sibling one older you, the career gains themselves, the actualization of some long range goals coming to fulfillment and completion and success. So the luck, especially on the financial front, looks extremely positive for you, especially if you're leaning into your career and your visions for what you want to do in this life. And I think you're going to feel really pleased with that part of your story, really liking the new fruitfulness that's showing up here. All right. Thanks for listening, Pisces Sun, Moon, and Rising. The outro is going to be about my dream. So last night, I'm recording this on July the 5th. I had a dream about aliens. I don't do this very often, although I am an abductee, so to speak, an experiencer. And I did know John Mack, who wrote the book Abduction. I was one of his people. So that was in the 90s. So in the dream, I'm standing near water. It reminds me of like an inlet, like the Chesapeake Bay, or you know, New York City, the Hudson River, you know, a place where you have water and you're standing on land and it connects to a larger body of water like an ocean. So that's like a harbor or an inlet or something like that, maybe even a river. And I'm watching as military, helicopters and parade, almost like a military parade. And yeah, we very felt like US military in the dream. And the US military and helicopters and planes and whatever, something like that going on in a positive, exciting way with anticipation, as it was kind of like, and here come the aliens. But the US military was involved and the public knew about it. Everybody was standing along the edges of this water body with excitement, right? Reminds me when the Pope came to visit Canada when I was younger in the 80s, and he was along the river in Ottawa. I lived in Ottawa. I think it was the Rideau River, and he was in a barge, you know, going down the river, and you could get spots on the river to wave at the Pope. Was it the canal or the river he went down? I think it was the river. The canal's too small. And everybody was like getting a view of the Pope in his barge. Isn't that nutty? But anyway, I was there for that. I also met Princess Diana this close. Like I have a picture of her like a foot away from my face. Okay. When she came to open up the police station right down where I lived on Elgin Avenue. And I was right there. My house was beside the police station. So I was excited. I saw Princess Diana, Lady Di at the time, I believe, or she Diana, Lady Di then in 1980s. And all that. But the Pope reminds me of the Pope because we're all excited to see the Pope. And there was a lot of security around the Pope, and people could get a spot on the riverbank to watch the barge or something as he was waving, you know. And I was in my 20s. Yeah. So the vibe was anticipatory, positive, exciting, and military and aliens. And I dreamt it last night. And I knew I'd be recording this video today. I hadn't looked at the Sphinx yet, and I hadn't dug up the asteroid what was the other one? Atlantis. And I do think that we're going to see some kind of thing in the 6 months from this moon to do with more UFO waves, more undercover, undersea, underground discoveries about the true origins of humanity, and maybe even something connected to military announcements regarding the UFO. And that includes whistleblowers and disclosures. Now I'm doing the pendant here to see what that symbol is. Oh, what is that one? You see, I have to, there's also numbers here. You know, I need a magnifying glass at my age. What is that on the key for this pendant? Well, I can see the symbol. I think it's the Wheel of Fortune, but let me double check. Okay, I see the symbol. So I'm going to go to the key because I don't know what it is. So the key, I can identify the symbol. And I want to see what it is about the dream. I'm asking my tarot vision pendant by Otter Spirit by Copper Woo, 25% off if you want to get that for yourself. Okay, why can't I find that site? Am I sharing it now? Am I? Yes, I'm sharing it. Oh my goodness. Okay, I'm looking at the little key here, you see? And I want to find a symbol. It's the world card. It was right side up. So, because there's a way to tell on the pendant. So I got the world card regarding my dream to do with everyone on seemed like Eastern Seaboard waterway, military parade vibe, but announcements and excitement regarding UFOs or aliens or non-human intelligence interventions of some sort. Funny because I saw Pam Gregory go, we're not going to be saved. Humanity is going to save itself. And I don't think so at all. We're not saving ourselves. We're being saved. We're being saved. We are being saved. We need intervention. Intervention, please. Skip the prime directive, right? We need help. Alrighty, I'm going to go off this video now. I wish you all the most amazing luck, abundance, and prosperity in the world, and peace and ease and wellness and all of that. Let's see if the Atlantis and the Sphinx have any meaning in our asteroid sky and whether it plays out in any authentic way over the next 2 to 3 weeks after the moon, but certainly over the next 6 months. All right. Ciao, everyone. Have a wonderful day. Like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Join me in Sky Reader September, add 6 weeks. Take very good care.